I took this Pixel 5a 5G to the Renaissance Fair and it survived the hot weather and the dust. I've got some video and photo examples along with some battery tests to show you because this is my review. Hi. Hey s'mores, I'm Shannon Morse. Welcome to Morse Code. I do tech reviews and tutorials, so if you are looking for in-depth tech and gadget content, you've come to the right place. Welcome to my new studio. This is the first video that I am fully recording in here on my set. I hope that you like it. I'm sure that I'm going to make some changes as I see them and as I see fit, but I will be doing a whole studio tour pretty soon, so make sure to subscribe if you want to see that. So this cute little device is the Google Pixel 5a 5G. It's a $450 Android 11 phone that just came out from Google. Now, even though Google did tease their upcoming Pixel 6 and 6 Pro on Twitter, we can expect both of those to cost well over $500. So this one would be the newest sub $500 phone that will replace the last one in the A series, which was the Pixel 4a 5G. Now, I was pretty surprised by this one because it only came in one model, and that is called Mostly Black. Although the color looks kind of green to me. I don't know, what color do you see? Let me know in the comments. And there's only one model in terms of size and storage or memory allocation. It has 6 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage. And that's it, no SD card slot. And the dimensions of this are 6.1 inches by 2.9 inches by 0.3 inches in depth. So I would say that it is a great size phone. I can easily play around with this with absolutely no issues in one hand, no problem thanks to its narrowness. I handed this to one of my friends who has an iPhone and he said that it felt like it wasn't even there because it's super lightweight at 6.45 ounces or 183 grams. Aesthetically, it's pretty similar to the 4a 5G. I really like this grooved power button on the side. I felt like that was a nice touch, and it's only slightly larger than the 4a 5G. Oh, and in case you are wondering, yes, I am wearing Holo Taco. I always do. That is the exclusive nail polish that I wear on this channel. This is electrostatic with everything taco as well as matte taco on top of that. That's the reason why it's not super shiny and sparkly, is because it's matte today. Fancy. But let's come back to the tech. You will also notice the Pixel imprint fingerprint reader on the back. That still works exactly the same. And side note about security, this phone also does include the Titan security chip and 3 years of operating system and security updates minimum. There is no face unlock on the front though, so you've only got the fingerprint reader. Now personally, I would prefer both, especially now that I live in this colder climate and I sometimes have to wear gloves. And if I'm wearing a mask, sometimes I prefer the fingerprint reader. So I like having both. Just give me the best of both worlds, phone manufacturers, because that's what I really want out of my life, is all the things in my phone packed into this teeny tiny little device. Yeah, I know that might be asking for a lot, but I want it. Okay, so this is also the first A series Pixel that does include water resistance at IP67. Plus it also comes with Gorilla Glass 3. So I was not afraid to take this thing with me to the Renaissance Fair here in Colorado, where we have dust, we got dirt, and there's water, and I trusted that it would be just fine if I dropped it on the ground somewhere. Now, even though it's fairly inexpensive by 2021 standards, it still does include in the box, an 18-watt USB-C power adapter, yay! A 3-foot USB-C to C cable for the USB-C 3.1 Gen 1 port, which, and this is no surprise since it does not come with wireless charging, you do gotta use the cable to charge it. So let's go ahead and talk about the battery. I would say that it is excellent, it's huge, it's the biggest battery to go into an A series device so far, and it's a 4680 milliampere hour battery. So you can easily leave this thing off the charger overnight and still have plenty left the next day. So here's my screenshot example where you can see my usage and my battery left up in the corner. And this is after an 8-hour workday, and I was watching YouTube videos pretty much constantly while this phone was running. So I was trying to really drain that battery and it was pretty hard to do. So this gives you an excellent example of if you're a heavy user, what is going to happen at about 50% brightness. Now, of course, with battery tests, your phone may vary depending on if it's searching for Wi-Fi or if it's searching for your LTE or 5G service, or if you have it on 100% brightness. It's all going to vary. So keep that in mind with your own battery tests. Now, one thing that I'm very excited about, you also get boom! That's a 3.5mm headphone jack. Yes, I know most folks don't really care about that, but if you go to DEF CON and you cannot turn on your Bluetooth because, you know, Bluetooth's vulnerable, but you need to be able to hear somebody on the phone, so you need headphones because you're in a convention hall and your phone is dying at the same time, and it's super loud, so you have to plug in headphones in order to hear whoever's on the other end of the line, and you can't use wireless on here. You would appreciate having the headphone jack, just like I do. This is a phone that I could take to DEF CON. Now, speaking of audio, yes, it does come with stereo speakers, and they are comparable to the 4A 5G in that they do get loud and they are clear, but they don't include very much bass. They work fine for voice calls. Bluetooth is also included in this phone. It's Bluetooth 5.0, along with the usuals like Wi-Fi and NFC. I had no issues connecting Bluetooth on here. I was actually pretty impressed. I'm using the new A series, which are right here. These are the new Google A series Pixel Buds, and I do have a review coming up shortly on these too, and they had a great connection with no drops, no matter which side of this home I was trying to walk around in. So I was very, very impressed with the Bluetooth connection on this phone with these Pixel Buds. Now the 5A is 5G sub 6. It's not millimeter wave. Now that means that it has a long range for 5G. It can get through all sorts of objects, but it's not going to be as fast as millimeter wave. These were my speeds in Denver's urban area using Google Fi, so not super impressive, but it did a fair job. And this is another thing to note. When it comes to 5G tests, those are going to vary quite a bit depending on your location, if there's a lot of obstructions in your area, and how many towers are there, and what kind of 5G you're going to get in your city. So my speeds may be very different from your speeds depending on where you are. Now, a little side note, y'all are the reason that I am recording this in my newly constructed studio. Just subscribing to my channel makes a huge difference, but if you want to support my content even more, here's a few different ways that I recommend. Now, I really like vanilla Android, and Android 11 just adds all sorts of cool features. Now, I did a YouTube Shorts video featuring this personal safety app. I love this app. It's so easy to use and it's very, very helpful. There's also now a private secure folder for your sensitive photos. So for example, if you need to take a picture of your vaccine card, some people don't think that's private information, but consider other circumstances before judging. You've also got the call screening on the Pixel. Hold for Me is an excellent feature. And Now Playing can now export your music to the YouTube Music library. Generally, all of these Pixel features already are available on other Pixel devices as well, or they will be whenever they are updated. As you can see, the display is very pretty. I'll pull up some pictures on here. It's 6.34 inches. It's a full HD plus display at 2400 by 1080 at 413 pixels per inch. It is an OLED, and when I was using this outside in very bright sunlight, it was still vivid. It was easy to see, so I had zero problems whenever I was at that Renaissance fair. It does have that always on display, which you can customize, and the refresh rate is a whole whopping 60 Hertz. I know, I wanted more too. I do prefer a faster screen, but that's a very, very minute trade-off for a less expensive phone, and that refresh rate does give the battery a very strong advantage. I also feel like it's a pretty responsive phone in terms of speed, and it is a Snapdragon 765G with an Adreno 620, so for video, for mobile gaming, it is really fast. You could even play Stadia games on here if you have Stadia. I did play some Call of Duty on here, even though I'm really bad at Call of Duty and other FPS games on mobile, but it was really smooth. I had no lag to be seen, so I'm satisfied with it. So moving on, lastly, we have the cameras. So here's the specs for the rear cameras. There are two of them, and the lenses include a 12.2 megapixel f1.7 aperture lens, alongside that 16 megapixel ultra wide at f2.2. You will get bright, vibrant, saturated photography with tons of contrast and with crisp details out of those back lenses. Reds, yellows, and blues tend to pop quite a bit, almost too much. HDR works great whenever subjects are in shadow, so nothing is blown out. Portraits overall were well done, although these busier backgrounds from the Renfest did make it a bit complicated for this phone. Thanks to that wider aperture though, night photos look beautiful, and now you can take those portrait photos with night sight, and those look really good as well. The Pixel continues to shine whenever it comes to night photography, and by the way, if you ever want to see this night photography up close, I'm at Snubs on Twitter and Instagram if you want to see those examples before anyone else does. I usually post them there the same day that I'm taking those pictures. And then we have videos. Almost every single tech YouTuber I know experienced the same problem where the phone overheats and it stops recording if you are using 4K 60p after a couple of minutes in hot weather. I experienced this too while I was at the Ren Fair and I was in shade. I would rather 4K 60p just not be included if it's not feasible in summer weather, because then nobody would make a big deal out of it, but the price would justify if that was a missing feature. But since it is there, I'm gonna try to use it, and if it doesn't work right, I gotta mention that. But most people, including the ones I was hanging out with at the Renfest, agreed that most folks just record in the default mode, which is 1080. So you probably wouldn't run into this issue anyways. Now personally, I record all of my videos in 4K 24p. I only use a faster frame rate for slow motion, which is very rare if I'm going to do it. So I'm almost never using 60p as it is. Overall though, videos look and sound really great from this phone. So I was quite happy with the videos, and here's some examples with the audio as well. Yo ho, a pirate's life for me. All right. Hello.
There was fire in the air, and then the fire just went out. In a lot of ways, the show is like my love life.
Oh.
And on that note, it is time for me to get
Normal video. Now let's move on to the front camera, which is just a little hole punch right there in the corner. It's an 8 megapixel f2.0. Now I will say my hair looked blonde in these bright photos. There was obviously less contrast happening in these pictures. Overall though, the photos look more realistic color-wise. Pictures again are very crisp. Portrait mode could have been better. It did have trouble around my hair, and that's pretty much just a common issue with hair, but it also blurred my shoulder and my shirt, so it could have done a better job on that. I have to say, this is such a good value for $450. You get so many features packed into this phone. I'm really happy with it, especially if you need something that's durable and long-lasting for a non-premium price point. Since this thing comes in at $450, that's a great price for everything that you get packed into this vanilla Android phone. No bloatware whatsoever. You just get what Google has put in there, which is Android 11. Clean and crisp. So I have a question for you. Did you enjoy this video? Did you like the new set? I'm sure that I'm going to make a few changes while I'm editing this video. I'm probably gonna notate some things that I probably want to add, because anybody that has designed a set or a studio knows that it is a never-ending process. Subscribe if you did enjoy this video to become a s'more, and huge thanks to Mohit for being a supporter over on buymeacoffee.com/snubs. And thank you so much to my Patreon backers, including Sir Count and Jason K. Thank you both so much. I really appreciate that you signed up there. It definitely helps me out a ton. Stay tuned. I've got a bunch of Samsung foldable reviews coming up in the next week or so. I'm Shannon Morse, and I'll see you soon. Bye, y'all.